What's up, people? Welcome to episode 5. Really appreciate anybody listening. If you're really enjoying this, like it, subscribe. I will be consistent. I will keep these episodes coming out. Sorry this one's late. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but we're staying consistent with this. Just like training. Consistency is everything in life, guys. Everything. And I'm realizing that, thankfully, I think at a pretty young age. I'm 27 years old, by the way. And I've just realized, throughout my whole life, I'm just jumping right into it, aren't I? I just realized, throughout my childhood, I was never really consistent with anything. I would always give things up, kind of a quitter in that way. But I was also because I kind of, like I talked about last episode, I've always had ADHD, always had trouble kind of staying focused on one thing, and always really scatterbrained, even with my interests. I'd be super interested in one thing, then lose interest, get interested in something else. And it's almost like you lose interest right at the moment when you really make, improvements or gains, if you will. But as I've gotten older and as I'm maturing and getting farther and farther into my health and fitness journey, I'm realizing, consistency is the key over everything. It's not, instead of worrying about the type of workouts that you're doing and working certain muscle groups and gaining a certain amount of weight or any of those type of things, the goal needs to be simpler. The goal simply needs to be consistent. Whatever allows you to be the most consistent. And in my opinion, when you're starting off, consistency is so important that you really need to lower that barrier to entry. I talked about this last time too, but it's just so important, meaning you can't try to chase too big of an endeavor, going to the gym 7 days a week or 6 days a week and doing some certain split bodybuilding program or, something like that. It has to, if you guys just start off super simple, just 100 push-ups and 40 pull-ups every other day. So you alternate, just doing something every day. That's more important. 15-minute jog every day. I'm telling you, if you get that everyday habit going, your life will change. That's something I really implemented, I'd say maybe a few months ago, honestly, I just realized, why am I taking rest days? Why don't I just structure my training in such a way that I don't need a rest day and that I can work out every day? Because for me, yes, looks are nice. Having a body that looks nice is amazing. But what's more, satisfying or gratifying to me is being able to use my body every day, being able to feel the endorphins that I get when I work out, when I exercise, that the pleasure, the sensation, that which keeps me coming back. And so I just realized this is something I want to be able to do every day. So I need to think about my workouts a little bit differently. I need to not completely destroy myself every time I work out. Rather, get a little bit more of a smaller dose in, but just be more consistent over time. That is the key. Consistency is the key, and it's just changed my life in so many ways. I mean, and obviously I've already been very consistent with working out and all that, but just switching it up to every single day, it just builds a whole different relationship with your body, your mind, your nervous system, your recovery, your stamina, just all these different types of things. You start to really learn your body and learn what's too much, what's not enough, and you find the perfect kind of mix for you. So that's kind of what I've been doing, training wise. I don't have any rest days really. I want to be able to work out every day. I want my body to be able to be used every day. And yeah, I think what's most important too is that I do things like this. In this video, this is more of obviously a lax workout, as usually these podcasts are, because they're usually filmed on a Sunday. And I'm just kind of supersetting, if you will, yoga style movements with kettlebell style movements. And yoga is so important for being able to do this, being able to keep up with working out every day, and being able to recover and speed recovery up, prevent injury. These are all so important. These are things that I learned. You can't just work out every day. You're gonna eventually get hurt. You need to balance everything out that you do. So for everything that you do that's strenuous, you've got to equalize that with something that's relaxing. Yin and yang. You know, your yang is the kettlebells. My yang is the kettlebells. My yin is the yoga. Some days my yang is jiu-jitsu and kettlebells. And then my yin is more yoga. So you have to have that balance. And if you've noticed the tattoo that I have on myself, that's kind of like the Indian symbol of yin yang, you know, kind of a balance between the mind, the body, and the soul, essentially. And, you know, I think if you combine yoga training with some sort of like weight training or some sort of, you know, strenuous workout that gets your heart rate up, that challenges your muscular system, that will give you that kind of at least physical balance that I think we all need, you know, and then that will get you closer to more of the spiritual side. People don't understand that, you know, your body is everything. Your body is your mind. So when you fine-tune your body, you're fine-tuning your mind, and you can get closer to that which is you and, you know, more spiritual ideas like that. But, you know, yoga's just been such a transformative thing in my life. Like, I've talked about this previous episodes, but, you know, it used to be all yang for me, and I used to lift a lot of weights, lift heavy, and not really worry about rest and recovery, and, you know, I just wanted the results. But life humbled me. I got injured, had shoulder surgery, all that type of stuff. And when it wasn't feeling great and I found yoga, it changed everything. You know, it made me realize what I needed to address. It made me realize that, like, my innate movement patterns embedded in my nervous system, deep within me, needed to be changed and corrected. And that takes conscious practice. Again, consistency. You know, you have to consciously move, breathe, feel, and you have to do this consistently. That's what yoga is. Yoga is not, you know, the little sports class that people think it is. It's something that, when you truly learn, you know, the postures of yoga, it's something that you take by yourself and you spend time by yourself, spending extra time in certain postures that feel, you know, tight or uncomfortable for you. Everybody is different. Every body is different. So the idea that you can go to a yoga class and move through all these sequences, you know, at the same rate as everybody else is, and see the specific change that you might be looking for in your body is not the right idea. It's great. I think it's still amazing. That's how you should start. You should start by going to yoga classes, because that's the way you learn. That's the way you meet people too. But that's really a way you learn these postures, learn how to kind of go through a yoga flow. And once you've got, you know, a few months under your belt, you've been going to classes, you can start to practice on your own, you know, while you're watching TV, before you go to bed. Just little things like positions that you notice maybe in class that you wished you could spend a longer time in, or that you wished weren't as uncomfortable. And something that's really, really important in your yoga journey is to not judge yourself. That was something that I went through a lot when I was starting off. I would just get really frustrated with myself and judge myself and, you know, ask myself, like, why the hell is my body this way? Why am I so screwed up? Like, why am I so imbalanced? Why am I not flexible? Like, I would just judge everything, you know, and just realize, like, this is not the way, you know. And not only that, but I've realized, like, as I've unleashed everything, unlocked my body, if you will, and, like, kind of trained other people and taught other people yoga and watched them go through the same thing, you realize everybody kind of does this to themselves, and you can't hate on yourself. Everybody's, you know, at a stage in life, and they've had certain life experiences that has led them to where they are now, and why their body is the way it is, their posture is the way it is, and you just can't judge it. You just have to work on it, and you have to realize, understand, and believe that you can make a change. If you practice consistently and consciously, you can change your body from the inside out. And that's why you are your best chiropractor. I said this last episode, but, you know, chiropractors, again, they'll adjust you. It's a little bit of a superficial thing, though, because it can relieve some tension or pain momentarily, but because your nervous system is still wired the same way and you haven't made that internal conscious change, you're going to resort back to the same movement patterns that you had before, and thus find yourself with the same posture, same pain, and going back to the chiropractor. And it's not their fault. I'm not bashing chiropractors or anything like that. They absolutely help. I'm just saying there is a part that you need to take in this journey of, pain or limitation or postural problems, and you need to consciously, take the time to practice, research your body, research meaning feel, understand, spend time in positions, realize where you're limited, realize where you're tight, realize the differences between the left side of your body and the right side of your body, and try to even those out. It's easier said than done, but it's absolutely crucial to correcting all the imbalances and everything like that. So I think yoga is just one of the best things that I've come across in my life. And it's funny because when people think about yoga, again, they think about it as this thing, but it's not really like a thing. It's not like an activity. It's more of like a way of life, an approach to things. Yoga can find its way into everything that you do in life. But for me, the way I think about yoga is I literally think about it as time with myself. Yeah, time with myself. Breathing, meditating, not thinking, feeling. Feeling is true understanding. I heard that from Wim Hof, and it's very true. Feeling is knowledge. Thinking and all that type of stuff is very abstract, but when you feel, and you must kind of, feel your body and not judge yourself and move past these limitations. And that's when you can truly unlock your ability, your strength, and do things that you want to do, that you love to do. We all have these desires. We all want to take a boxing class or take a dance class or take a jiu-jitsu class or go on some sort of adventure, whatever you may be. But in order to do all these things in life that we want to do and love, you want to have confidence. You want to have trust in your body. You want to feel good. You don't want to have pain in your neck while you're going on a hike. You don't want to have pain in your shoulder while you're riding your bike. You don't want to have these little things that maybe have nothing even to do with the activity that you're doing but are limiting you and thus making you depressed. That's what I went through, honestly. Like, when I had my whole shoulder ordeal, it was a long time. It was probably like a good 3 years of my life that I just didn't have a good shoulder, and the pain and the discomfort and just the knowing that I was not my fullest self and I couldn't thoroughly enjoy all the activities that I wanted to do was extremely depressing. And looking back, it was like probably the darkest time of my life, because I'm such a physical person, as you guys can see. I need this outlet. I need to get my energy out like this. I need to be able to move my body, to push myself, all this stuff. I need to feel. And I wasn't able to do a lot of that stuff. So, in college, I just resorted to a lot of drugs and alcohol and stupid behavior, really, to kind of, distract myself, I guess, from that which I craved, which was just physical stimulation. So, yeah, yoga is just amazing. And it's funny how our posture even, like, I think I was talking about this on either last episode or the episode before, but we're such creatures of habit that even our personality, it just seems to be a collection of habits, right? And it can even be applied to your posture, the way you hold yourself, the way you carry yourself. It's a collection of habits. It's a habitual way of moving, a habitual way of carrying yourself, of holding yourself up, of walking, whatever it may be. Simply bring attention to this. I'm telling you, if you simply just bring attention, when you're sitting, bring attention to your posture. When you're walking, bring attention to the way you walk. Bring attention to these things, and you'll start to notice, where you might be lacking, or, how this might be, obstructed or corrupted. But it's interesting because in yoga, there's poses like, you hear things like heart-opening postures, right? Like, what does that even mean? When I started doing yoga, I used to ignore all that stuff. Heart-opening, breathing, all this stuff I would just like totally ignore and just think of it as like a purely physical thing of just, I'm just like getting more flexible and stronger. That's true, but what is also true is that when you do these yoga poses, when you open certain parts of your body, you truly open certain parts of yourself and your personality. And I've really noticed that. Like if you look at somebody with a posture and they have caved in shoulders, their chin is, sinking, not their chin, I guess, but like their whole head, their neck is kind of like sinking down closer to their chest, like just kind of like that hunched over, typical meme that you'd see of somebody typing on a computer. Like that person is physically depressed. Because what's the opposite of depression? Expression. So physically, if you're depressing yourself with your posture, what do you think you're doing to your mind and your personality and everything like that? When you do a quote-unquote heart-opening pose in yoga, for example, like some sort of back bend, like a wheel pose where you got your, kind of like the crab pose, you got your feet on the floor, your hands on the floor, and you're bending back, the wheel pose. That pose, most people cannot do that. And even if they can, they can't hold it for long, and it's extremely uncomfortable. And I felt this. And I still work into that a lot. It's the tightest part of me, is like my shoulder, chest, thoracic area. And I'm also, I'd say, kind of closed off to love a lot. And I've noticed that about myself. Like I am very closed off to love, kind of like being physically, not physically rather, but like even emotionally, just like, I guess, available for people. Like I've noticed that I try to close myself off a lot. And it's interesting. And I do think there's a correlation there. And I've noticed as I've opened this part of my body, I've also opened that part of my like soul, of like love and acceptance and even just being more vulnerable myself, talking about stuff like this. But it's amazing what changing your physical body and posture can do for your mind, your spirit. It's everything. You guys have to understand that the mind is connected to the body. The brain is like, the central powerhouse, but it's essentially feeding into all of these cords that go and run throughout the rest of your body, which is your nervous system. So your whole, I think of my whole body as the brain, almost, And so our mind is our body. Your subconscious is your body, if you really think about it. It's like if you cut your skin, you don't think abstractly about healing it. You wouldn't be able to do it. Your body knows how to do that, innately. It's intelligence. It's natural intelligence, and nobody really thinks about that. Nobody thinks about how, our hair grows without us telling it to. Our bodies grow without us telling it to. Like, all these things happen in our body, and we are completely, like, separated from it. And in my theory, I think when you practice, like, yoga and more mindful things like this, and you spend time with your body, connecting with it, you can get closer to that subconscious, and thus have more control over those things which we think we have no control over, like our immune system, all that type of stuff. Like, if you guys don't know of Wim Hof, this guy literally underwent studies in multiple universities proving that he could fight off E. coli just by, sitting there and breathing and meditating. Fight off E. coli. He could sit in ice for 2+ hours without his skin temperature changing. All these crazy things. And it's always been believed that we have absolutely no control over our autonomic nervous system, which is a part of our nervous system that I've been talking about, the digestion, healing wounds, immune system, that part of our nervous system. But this guy has clearly proved that we do. And he even trained 14 random volunteers over the course of like a couple weeks, I think, to basically also get injected with E. coli, along with obviously a placebo group and control, all that type of stuff. And proved that these 14 volunteers all fought off the infection perfectly fine, no symptoms, controlled their immune system. How profound is that? Like, just having that knowledge available, you think would change the world, but it doesn't. Because here's the thing, is everybody wants the quick fix. Everybody wants the pill, the shot, the whatever that will, make them feel better as soon as possible. Nobody wants to endure discomfort. But that's where all the growth is. All the growth, unfortunately, lies in discomfort and lies in, you know, feeling again. It all comes back to feeling. You know, people kind of avoid their feelings. They just want to be in homeostasis all the time. They don't want to feel the cold. They don't want to feel the heat. They don't want to feel their heart racing. They don't want to feel like they're going to throw up because they just hit a hard workout. All these types of things, you have to disrupt the system and feel and get used to enduring that. And also forming this connection with your subconscious. So a lot going on there. A lot to talk about there. And it's that's what amazes me the most is like we have this knowledge of all these things going on. But nobody wants to practice things. I shouldn't say nobody, but most people don't want to practice these things because, again, it takes discipline, it takes effort, it takes struggle, it takes all these things before you even feel or see results. So everybody wants a quick fix. But the quick fix is never the answer, I assure you. The quick fix is actually poison. You know, if there's anything that's a quick fix, you should run away from it. It's all about taking the slow, steady, painful approach to things, because that is what truly will inspire like change in whatever system you're trying to change. So, yeah, I mean, what else do I want to talk about? I guess I could leave it at that for now. I mean, one last thing I'll leave you guys with is, you know, if your posture or your body has pain in it or limitations or discomfort, you're never going to feel as good as you could feel. You're never going to be the best person that you could be for everybody else around you or in the world. And I read a book a long time ago, and I need to reread it. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. And The Way of the Superior Man is an incredible book because it basically teaches you like what it is to be a man and, you know, what kind of principles you should live by and yada, yada, yada. And one thing I'll leave you guys with is that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Last thing I will leave you guys with from The Way of the Superior Man is that you need to basically serve the world with all of your might. He talks about this, like, he talks about women and the world, right? How women and the world to a man are almost the same thing. And you need to give yourself fully to the woman, and you need to give yourself fully to the world. And if you aren't, you're doing the world a disservice, and you're basically committing the biggest sin that a man can commit. Now, what do I mean by this? For me, for example, I know that my purpose and my passion and what I want to do is train people, you know, with kettlebells and yoga and nutrition and help them be the best versions of themselves, get in the best shape of their lives, and run a business around that and serve people in that way. That's my service. That's what I believe I'm called here to do. That's what I feel that I'm in alignment with. So if I don't pursue that to the greatest ability that I can, I'm doing the world a disservice. I'm doing everybody a disservice, and I'm committing the biggest sin that I can commit as a man. And so think about that. What are you called to do? What are you passionate about? We all have something. We all have a calling, whether we want to admit it or not. But us not pursuing that, and when I say men, I mean I'm just saying like figure of speech, right? Like you could say the same thing about a woman and, you know, her relationship with man in the world, right? I'm just speaking from the man's perspective because guess what? I'm a man. So yeah, I think in order to do that, though, you know, in order for me to give my fullest self to the world, I need to feel the best that I can feel. I need to perform the best that I can perform, think as clearly as I can think, and do, you know, and be consistent, of course. But it all comes back to having that foundation of at least feeling good. If you don't feel good in your own skin, it's going to be damn hard for you to be the best version of yourself, to pursue your goal to the best of your abilities, and to thus serve the world as best as you can. So I'll leave you guys with that. I'll let you watch the remainder of my workout, and I will catch you guys next time. Thanks again if you're listening. It really means a lot, and these will get better over time. I appreciate you all. Love you all. Talk soon. Cheers.